Good evening, humans. Tyrannosaurusmoth here, and tonight we're taking a look at the Predator 2 Ultimate Shaman Predator from NECA Toys. So, is this just more rehash of that Predator buck, or is this proof of why that works? Well, let's talk about that. Let's do this. Aesthetically speaking, this is a really cool looking Predator, and we've definitely seen a lot of elements here, like the torso is reused, certainly the thighs are reused. I think probably the shin guards and knee pads as well, but we're used to seeing that with these Predators, and I think this is kind of one of the better examples of how that remixing is done very effectively, because we have that reuse, but other than that, we definitely get a very different feel for this character, not just with the skin tone, which is kind of these whites, blacks, and grays, with a nice, almost translucent feel to some of it, even in the head. So you can see that there. It's really well done. But some overlays and some new sculpted pieces, namely the kind of collar here around the neck, which is probably one of my favorite visual pieces, but especially in conjunction with his kind of leather arm wraps here. And just everything done very effectively, and again, kind of gives it that more primal, more kind of ritualistic sort of look. And that comes down to this kind of mini skirt piece as well, which has some like awesome leather texture going on as well. The matte black just kind of drives that visual home, and some nice details with the ties and stuff like that, all crisply painted as well. Just cannot complain. And so beyond that, it really kind of makes it a different sort of Predator. We also get the longer dreads with this cool kind of bone tie here in the back. It's just very visually striking for a Yautja. And beyond that, I'm going to get it more into it in the next section. But really, when you kind of dress this one up, it kind of becomes a whole different figure. So, we've got a couple pieces we're going to look at in the next section, but as part of the magic of action figures, accessories can totally make one figure into two separate figures. With that, we get a real good loadout of accessories here. So let's jump right in. And starting with hands, we've seen all of these before. So we get the splayed out hands right out of the box. We have a left loose gripping hand. And then we have a right tighter gripping hand, the fingers together. Then finally, we get the smart disc holding hand. And because we get that hand, we get the smart disc, which again, we've seen with most of the Predators. So we get our closed version and our open version, this really nice, bright, brilliant silver. So there's those. Then we start moving into some more unique stuff. Actually, this probably has come with some other Predator that I'm not aware of, but we do get a skull, some blood splatter going on there. Just very well sculpted, awesome paint. The kind of blood streaks here definitely stick out, which is really cool. Then we get some new weapons. So we get a ceremonial staff. We can see they have what are normally the wrist blades here at the top, and then this kind of bone detail with these little hanging bones, so that this feels to be plastic, but it moves like rope. So that's totally legit and a cool approach. I'm not afraid of that breaking. However, because of how thin the rest of this is, I'm a little bit afraid of that. So I'm going to be very, very careful with this piece. You can see we got a couple of handles here too, with some kind of brown piece, and then kind of some lighter wraps to keep that on. So that's very nice visual piece, a lot of visual storytelling going on here. Then we get a couple more weapons. So we get what looks to be a ceremonial axe with a human skull with a huge blade coming out of it, and then the spinal column. And usually we're used to seeing the skull and spinal column with all the Predators, but here it has been weaponized, which I think is just a beautiful, beautiful touch. And then we get a ceremonial dagger, once again with a bunch of blood on it, that brilliant silver again coming through on the blade, and then the handle being more bones. So very cool. And finally, we get the things that I was talking about in the last section that really transform this into a different figure, and that is the alternate head sculpt, which has our biomask, which is an actual skull of something, or maybe an assembly, because there is a very clear seam here, which I think is probably partially for production, but also I think supposed to be kind of a tell, because this looks very much Yautja, or at least the shell of something supposed to look that way. So that's kind of a cool touch. And then this kind of very almost goblin-esque, sort of face. And as you can see, there is a face sculpt underneath there too. So it looks cool from a distance because it blacks out. But you know, you look at those eyes and they just stare right through you, which is amazing, amazing touch. Really love that. So there's that. And then finally, we do get a robe, cloak, whatever you want to call it. Very nice kind of canvasy sort of feel. Some nice aging going on here. And it's fully wired. So there's wires coming down both sides here. And then there's wires around the neck. So you definitely get a lot of options there. And that will do it for accessories. Articulation here is pretty much exactly what you would expect from a NECA Predator, with one exception, and we're going to get to that later. As you can see, I did not do my freestanding kick here just because I couldn't accomplish that, and that's the thing I'm alluding to here. So starting here at the top of the head, we are on that kind of barbell joint. So we can look down very nicely, and look up really well as long as you shift it correctly. Actually, fantastic range on the up. There's our neutral. We do get that nice tilt side to side. We can come all the way up to our T with our arms. I will note that on mine, I don't know how it's gonna show up, some of the plastic seems to be kind of coming up, so I have to like rotate back and then turn to get my T over here, but still works. So just worth noting. I don't know if that's a production thing or if that's just my figure. We do have bicep swivel. We have double jointed elbows, bringing us to there. We have hinge and swivel at the wrists, all horizontal. Then we get our ball joint in the diaphragm, ball joint in the hips, the waist. However, you know, not really getting a crunch forward for the top, but it's all on the bottom. We are getting some twist up there though. So coming about that far forward for our crunch, arching back about that much, and getting a little bit of side to side. For our hips, we're coming out to about here. So basically the thing blocking us from a little bit of range is this kind of cargo pocket here. So yeah, that's definitely just kind of weigh it down a little bit. So worth noting and being aware of. Then we have thigh swivel, double jointed knees bringing us to there. And then our feet are on a ball joint so we can get our rotation. We can get about that much point, about that much forward, and can get some side to side for rocker as well. And I guess one piece of articulation that kind of counts off of the figure, make sure it's not going to fall, is the cape itself. Like I said, it's wired, so that's going to give you some more dynamics, and that's articulation. Getting into size comparisons, here they are with some other Predators, with some Hasbro and some Mattel, with some imports, with some monsters. Finally, with an articulated Icons Oni, and yours truly in human form as a Valverse Action Force figure. So my final thoughts on the Shaman Predator from NECA Toys is that this is another incredibly solid entry into NECA's Predator line, and I could not recommend it enough. Honestly, I love this design. I think this is a prime example of them taking that Predator buck and just building it up. Obviously, these are built off the Lost Tribe that we saw at the end of the movie Predator 2, but they've really kind of dived headfirst into kind of building up that lore and, you know, adding to that as much as they've been given freedom, and I could not be happier about that. Honestly, this is probably one of my favorite Predator figures overall. So yeah, absolutely pick this up if you get a chance. It's showing up on Target shelves right now. It's available in various online shops, possibly including Entertainment Earth. If it is on Entertainment Earth, I happen to be an affiliate. So if it's up there and available and you use this code at checkout, you can get 10% off if it's in stock, and then free shipping if your order is over $59. So definitely get down on that if that's the case. And all that being said, I hope you found this review informative and somewhat entertaining. If you did, please consider liking, commenting, subscribing, all that stuff I'm supposed to say at the end of the video. And you know, there's other ways to help the channel as well down that description, so please check that out. And yeah, so with all that being said, I hope you're well. I hope that all of your toy dreams come true, and most importantly, I hope that you and yours stay weird, simians.